commissioners to turn your mics on, as I just had to do. Welcome to the June 18, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Casper. The meeting is not open to the public, but you can watch it on YouTube live feed or cable channel 192, is my understanding. I would note for the record, all of the commissioners are present tonight. There are 7 of us. We also have from the staff Craig Collins and Dee Hardy. From our city attorney's office, we have Wallace Trembeth. And from City Council, our liaison, Councilman Hopkins, along with his backup, Councilman Bates. And I would also ask to note for the record that this is Mr. Collins' birthday today. And if I understand it right, he's 48 years old. So if that could make it in the official record, it would be appreciated.
I'm happy to.
You want us to sing a song?
No. That's the COVID-19 mandates from the governor's office prohibit singing in public. First, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the April 16, 2020 meeting, and note too that we did not meet in May. So I would ask for a motion to approve the April 16, 2020 minutes.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice Chairman Hein, seconded by Commissioner Wingeter. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, please vote with either a thumbs up or a thumbs down on approval of the minutes. It looks to be unanimous. Approval. Oh, one abstention. two abstentions, 5 yeas. Hey. I would have to consult with our city attorney as to what constitutes a hand gesture. All right.
All right.
Okay, motion passes. We have 3 items on our agenda tonight. The first item being PLN 2015 ARZ to annex, plat, and zone the Ide addition. And it is my understanding that when we get to that point, we will be calling Mr. Ide for his discussion of that issue. All right, PLN 2015 ARZ is a petition to annex and plat the proposed Ide addition subdivision comprising 0.945 acres, more or less located at 330 South Center Street, and consideration of a request to establish the zoning of said addition as C3 Central Business. The applicant being Ide Mobile LLC. Do we have a staff report, Mr. Collins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Application has been made for an annexation plat and zoning to create the Ide addition to the city of Casper. The property involved encompasses approximately 0.945 acres, more or less, of former railroad right-of-way, which, as is common in many parts of Casper, was never incorporated into the city limits, platted or zoned. The structure on the property is currently being remodeled and developed as a banking facility. The abutting properties surrounding the subject property are all zoned C3 Central Business, and land uses in the area are all commercial. The proposed plat is creating 2 lots, one north of the rail to trail pathway and one south of the pathway. The north lot is the location of the primary structure, and the south lot is currently in use as a parking lot. Mr. Chairman, I've added 53 of the permitted uses to your staff report that are allowed in the C3 district by right. We have no public comments. We have no recommended conditions, and we have 8 exhibits. A is the application for annexation, B, the application for replat, C, petition for a zone change, D, vicinity map of the 300-foot notification zone, E, copy of the plat, F, public notice sent to the Star Tribune, G, notice of public hearing sent to property owners, and H, memo to the chairman and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Exhibits A through H are accepted for the record. I would also make a note to commissioners, we will be taking 3 separate votes on this, potentially take 3 separate votes on the issue. We are now at the point where I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case PLN 2015 ARZ. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask the individual or individuals who address the commission to identify yourself and state your address. And it's my understanding that we will now call Mr. Ide for his explanation of the application.
Mr. Ide? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm not sure we can hear you. Can you guys, are you picking up any audio?
Barely. It's not very strong, no.
Sorry to do this to you, Bob, but could you speak up kind of loudly? Our microphone isn't the best tonight.
Absolutely. Is this better?
Not much, but we'll have to deal with it apparently, so.
Good evening, Mr. Ide. If you would be so kind as to just explain your application and be available for any questions from the commissioners on PLN 2015 ARZ. You now have the floor.
Okay. I'll try to talk loud. Can you hear me okay?
That's very good where you're at right now. That's the best we've heard, yes.
Okay. Essentially, I bought the property from the Goodstein Trust back in 2014, and when I bought the property, there was really no red flags on, the planning or the annexation. There was a legal description that was surveyed by Worthington Lenhart, WLC, and, that was on the deed, and that's how I acquired the properties from the Goodstein Trust. Wells Fargo was the trustee out of Denver. And when I went to apply for a permit to build out the first floor of that building back in March, the question was raised at that time. When I applied for the permit, I put the legal description that I received on the deed, and it was brought to my attention that I guess over the last 60 years, nobody recognized or enforced that the property was never annexed or platted to the city of Casper. And so I talked to Craig Collins, said that, that was a big surprise to me that that had never happened, and I guess there would be no reason to raise a red flag unless somebody applied for a permit. And so we went ahead, I got WLC involved, we platted the property, submitted that within a day, moved on from there, and then, a couple of weeks later, a month later, it was discovered that the property had never been annexed and zoned to the city of Casper. So we filed those additional 2 applications, and, the conversation was that it's kind of odd that this has never happened, and as long as you follow what we're requesting, we'll let you move forward, and we've done all of that. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, the story that I have.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Ide?
Mr. Chairman, I have one. Mr. Ide, Terry Weingarter, I was just wondering, is the side of the building, is that going to be a drive-up windows? Are they going to be driving along the side of, I understand it's going to be a bank facility. And on the south side of the building, I was just wondering, are you going to have drive-up windows?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, have you been in contact with the street department? As far as you well know, Center Street's a pretty busy street and if you, sometimes cars have a tough time, I would assume, turning left which would be coming out of your building on Center Street, which would be north.
Correct.
And
That would be, you know, when we applied for the permit, we had the design of, you know, the drive-through and a conceptual plan, and we've got a permit, application in right now as well, and if you look at that, the drive-through has a concrete curve, so, it effectively makes people turn to the right as they're coming out of that drive.
also that,
And, you know, we looked at a lot of other banks and made sure that, and the architect did too, that it didn't have any, you know, traffic issues, you know, both in Wyoming and Colorado, and it's very compliant with what they showed for other banks.
so again, they're gonna be, you're requesting that they're gonna turn right and not left. Okay, okay.
The way it's designed, it encourages them to turn right. We've kind of got a little curve coming out from our driveway there.
Okay. I was just wondering because, as you well know, Center Street's a busy street, so that's all. Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
Okay, other questions for Mr. Ide from the commission? Thank you, Mr. Ide. In case there's any issues that come up, it would be appreciated if you'd kind of stay close to your phone, and if we need to, we can either call you back, or if you want to stay on, I guess that would be up to you. As required by state law, we will invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings, or semi-public hearings. Mr. Collins, are you aware of anyone else to speak either in favor of or in opposition to case PLN 2015 ARZ?
Nobody signed up to speak tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will go on the assumption that there are nobody else to speak either for or against. And there being no one to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and would advise that the annexation, replat, and zone change, again, will be voted on separately. I will now entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to City Council to deny or to table case PLN 2015 ARZ regarding the annexation.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to make a motion to approve PLN 20-15 ARZ.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Wingeter, seconded by Commissioner Feth. Discussion on the annexation.
My only concern was the traffic, and that was the possible traffic problem, and that was, Mr. Ide answered that.
And that issue would be also addressed further down the line on this whole project. would it not?
I understand that. I understand that.
Okay. Okay, with that, any other discussion?
I don't know when it's appropriate to ask.
I tell you what, for the commissioners that are in the audience, if you could come up to the microphone so that gets recorded on the live feed, it would be appreciated. Eric?
Hello, hey, question for staff. I don't know if this is the appropriate part of the hearing to ask, but curious about it looks like the overlay of the boundary is, they have improvements built on city property, as well as just the pathway, just checking in on how that will be affected.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. And Mr. Ide, if he's still available, may need to jump in here too as well. But my understanding is that Mr. Ide leases a portion of the city-owned property where those improvements are. And of course, the city is the current owner of the rail trail, former railroad right-of-way, which we did plat and zone and annex previously. But I'm not sure if that answered your question, but Mr. Ide does have a active lease with the city of Casper.
Mr. Ide, are you still on the phone? Okay. Well, we'll assume that that's an accurate description of the situation. Further comments or amendments regarding a motion to forward a due pass recommendation to City Council? Hearing none, Commissioner Vice Chairman Hein.
Does the trail still go through them?
Does the trail still come through that? To my knowledge, it does.
does.
Yeah, it's still there. I don't know if there are any plans to alter that. I wouldn't think so.
No, we couldn't allow that, Mr. Chairman.
So, okay, so it will continue there, and that trail is part of the old original railroad through town. If there are no other comments, which I'm not seeing, please cast your vote with the thumbs up or thumbs down, and please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Okay, with that, we will now move on to a motion. I would entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to council to deny or to table case PLN 2015 ARZ regarding the plat. This is the plat. Any discussion or not discussion yet? Is there a motion to forward a due pass recommendation with the plat that's proposed? Okay, moved by Commissioner Ani, seconded by Commissioner Davis. I watch too much of your folks' show. Discussion on the motion to forward a due pass recommendation regarding the plat. Hearing none, please cast your vote. And record the vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. And thirdly, with those two passings or recommendations to move ahead, I'd entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to City Council to deny or to table case PLN 2015 ARZ regarding the zoning. Moved by Commissioner Ani, seconded by Commissioner Feth. Discussion. And this zoning would be C3. If there's no discussion, please cast your vote. Thumbs up. And please record the vote.
All members voting aye, the motion passes.
Motion passes. All right. That takes care of that. Second item on our agenda tonight is PLN 2021 VZ, a petition to vacate Tract G, Mesa del Sol Edition as public parkland and to rezone said property as R4, high-density residential, the applicant being the city of Casper. I would ask Mr. Collins for your staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The city of Casper is the applicant for the requested vacation of parkland and associated rezoning for Tract G, Mesa del Sol Edition. The property is approximately 4.31 acres in size and was dedicated as parkland in 1995 with the plat of the Mesa Edition number 3. The property has never been developed or used as a public park, and the area immediately surrounding the property is currently undeveloped. The City Council has directed staff to get the property ready for disposal or public sale, and Wyoming statute allows for the vacation of public parkland provided the city must have owned the property for at least 10 years, and the property has never been developed as a public park. In this case, it meets both criteria. In order to facilitate the development of the property by any potential future owner, a zone change of the property is also required based on the future land use element of the comprehensive land use plan, as well as the existing zoning in the surrounding area. Staff recommends a rezone to R4, high-density residential. Staff has included the 23 permitted uses in the R4 district in the staff report for the Commission's information. There have been no public comments received, and I have 5 exhibits to enter, Mr. Chairman. A, the petition for a zone change. B, vicinity map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, public notice sent to the Star Tribune. D, notice of public hearing sent to property owners. And E, memo to the chairman and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes my report, and as you mentioned, the city of Casper is the applicant, and I'll also attempt to answer any questions as the applicant if you like.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Exhibits A through E are accepted. For the record, are there questions from the commissioners for Mr. Collins, representing the city? Commissioner Wingeter.
Mr. Collins, I don't know how far it is, but it's kind of close. there was some foundation problems with some of the houses. The soil was shifting and things like that. Is that up to us to worry about something like that, or that's probably up to the developer, right?
The ultimate developer will be required to do soil geotechnical engineering studies when they develop the property, just as the ones you're mentioning did. And I believe there's litigation in place that's determining who's at fault there, and I'm not sure that that's been determined yet.
Thank you.
The land that surrounds this development, or this parkland, is that presently, who owns that, do you know? Is that on the market, or is it presently owned by private parties?
It's, as the white indicates, it's undeveloped, but I did not look at who owns the adjacent properties. I can maybe figure that out while we're talking, if you give me a few minutes here.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff from the commissioners? We'll go off script just a minute here, and also note for the record that Community Development Director Becker is present.
Mr. Chairman, I've put the ownership within 300 feet up on the screen for you. Looks like Dennis Lower, Mesa Number 3 LLC, Albertsons, and City of Casper are the only property owners within 300 feet.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, do we need to introduce that as an exhibit, or is that just for informational purposes, the ownership of the surrounding lands? No, okay. I have a negative response from that, so we don't need to introduce that. Further questions? Commissioner Frank?
So this is all owned by, it looks like developers. There's no other place in that neighborhood where we have any parkland set up?
Great question, Mr. Chairman. The city has parks in the neighborhood. The nearest one would be the probably the large park at the Meadowlark area. If you remember, last year we did a neighborhood meeting out there and talked to the neighbors about how they wanted, half the park is developed, half is undeveloped, and they were curious how the city might develop the undeveloped portion in the future. They talked about a lot of different ideas, community gardens and some other things. And one of the ideas that's been floated about the sale of this property is it would fund the development of the adjacent property that's currently undeveloped. I can show you on the map. Okay.
Further questions from the commission? Vice Chairman Hein.
So are there any other plans to put a park anywhere else around all of this? Because if that turns to all to houses, kids are gonna need a place to play. Is there anything?
Go back to the picture here. Mr. Chairman, I believe that this area here that I'm pointing to, I don't know if everybody can see that, is going to remain park. The area outlined is the only area that is being disposed of, I understand. I'm not sure what's planned for this, but my understanding is with the distribution of parks in the area is adequately covered with the Meadowlark Park.
Okay. Further questions from commission? Seeing none as required by state law, we will invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all hearings. Mr. Collins, are you aware of anybody else who wishes to speak for or against this case that would be?
No, Mr. Chairman, nobody signed up to speak.
Okay, there being no others to speak for or against these cases, I declare the public hearing closed and advise that the vacation and zone change will be voted on separately. I would entertain a motion to approve and forward it to council with a due pass recommendation to deny or to table case PLN 2002VZ regarding the vacation. Do I have a motion regarding the vacation of the zone? Moved by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Wingeter. Further discussion? Vice Chairman Hein.
Just looking at the map, it just seems like it gives good access to the north. Again, if that all gets developed, to me, it kind of is a good connector.
Okay, I'll either repeat what you said, or if you wanted to do it to the microphone.
I can do that, sorry. I'm not used to this. I just think that that's kind of a nice connector to the neighborhoods, to the north and to the west, mostly to the north to give access to the park. So I live across from a park right now, and it's just so loaded up with kids. And I've seen places where they're not able to play, and we've got them coming in from 3 and 4 blocks away, and their folks aren't even there sometimes. And it's kind of different, but it's really nice to have a giant park like that. That's just my opinion, especially the easy access to the north. I just see this place getting loaded up with houses, and you got a lot of kids that come with that, and they need some room, some space, because your backyard just doesn't do it. Anyway, just a thought.
That's a great segue to talk about what we've been doing also in anticipation of selling the property, Mr. Chairman, is we did retain the services of Worthington, Lenhart, and Carpenter, and they drew up an easement, and the city is recording that easement. That easement will be used for the eventual pathway that starts up in the Mesa Del, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure which Mesa that is, but the CY Junior High Roosevelt area. There's a trail that follows the contour of the hill all the way down to the old CY Junior High. And this parcel, although it will be sold, will still have an easement on it for that eventual neighborhood trail.
Thank you for that,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Davis.
I have a question, Mr. Collins. Have we had any feedback from the Park and Recreation Division on a run regarding the vacation at the properties?
No, I'm not sure if maybe Liz can answer that better than I, or if the councilman might know what due diligence has been put into the sale of this property. Like I said, we were just directed to prepare it for getting rid of, so I'm not sure if the Parks Department weighed in. I would say that the city does have an adopted parks development plan, and this park in that plan, as Councilman Hein, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Hein mentioned, it does have value as a connector for the trail system, but the spacing of existing parks in the area is adequate. There's a quarter-mile spacing requirement in the plan, and with Meadowlark, that's adequate for this neighborhood.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I brought this up, is this here is Meadowlark Park, and it's kind of a linear park through the Meadowlark neighborhood. This is the south end of it.
Further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second to recommend to vacate Track G of the Mesa Del Sol Addition. Please cast your vote with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and please record the vote. I see one negative.
With the exceptions of
Two down.
Commissioner Hein and Commissioner Frank, who voted nay, everyone else voted yea, and the motion passes.
Thank you. I would now entertain a motion to approve and forward to City Council with a due pass recommendation to deny or to table PLN 2021 VZ regarding the rezoning or the zoning to R4. I have a motion regarding the zoning part.
I make a motion to approve PLM 20-22.
20-21 VZ regarding the zoning to R4. Motion by Commissioner Wingeter. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote. And please record the vote.
With the exception of Commissioner Hein and Commissioner Frank, everyone else voted yea. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Third item on our agenda tonight is PLN 2022, is a proposed amendment to the New Delta Addition subdivision agreement dated August 3rd, 1999, to remove all land use restrictions identified in sections 2.1 and 2.2 of the New Delta Addition subdivision agreement. Located generally at the northeast corner of East 15th Street and Wyoming Boulevard, the applicant being True Land Realty LLC and Wyoming Orthopedic Institute LLC. And before we go further, I would like to read a statement from the applicant regarding PLN 20022. Regarding the proposed amendment to the New Delta Addition subdivision agreement, the applicant has requested to table the proposed amendment until further notice. The applicant would like time for additional communication and community participation relating to this request. True Land and Realty remains committed to being a good neighbor, particularly with all stakeholders, to enhance the community and the people it serves. True Land and Realty is looking forward to additional dialogue with its neighbors, sharing its vision for their development known as the Compass at Centennial Hills. So with that request from the applicant, I would entertain a motion to table PLN 20022. Motion by Commissioner Frank. Seconded by Commissioner Feth. Please cast your vote and please record the vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. Quickly moving on the agenda, our liaison, Councilman Hopkins, do you have any council actions that you'd like to share with us? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next item we have, I don't know if we will be discussing it, but I do see on the agenda under special issues, the 2019 Planning Division Annual Report. If there's anything you'd like to share with us on that, Mr. Collins.
I was not prepared to discuss it, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody had any as they leaf through it.
Okay, and I would note the full report was in our packet. And I appreciate it. That was very, very helpful information. That was interesting. So thank you for preparing that. I guess you do that annually?
Last 2 years, yes.
Okay. That's probably why it's called an annual report.
Yep.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the 2019 annual report that was presented to us in the packet? Seeing none, quickly, Ms. Becker, do you have?
Monday at 4 o'clock, we are having the Old Yellowstone District Committee is going to be touring the new state office building complex, and there's some special instructions that go along with that tour. So that will include Commissioner Feth, Commissioner Hein. But I did want to open it up to you as the rest of the Planning Commission if you are interested in going with the Old Yellowstone District Advisory Committee. I would need to know so that we can get your name on that list, because it's a restricted group. We will be wearing hard hats, we will be wearing masks, but we'll be able to get actually onto the site and look at the new state office building. I know Councilman Hopkins will be with us also. The mayor's part of that committee also. But if you want to do that, please let me know. And I don't have to say tonight, but you can also let Dee know so that we can get you on that list. So it'll be from 4 to 5 over there on Midwest, but there are special instructions that I have to get to you in advance. So think about it, think about it, think about it. So. And that was 4 to 5 p.m. on Monday. The 22nd? Yes. Just something new and exciting, and you all were part of the initial approvals with all of that. Big time. then I will get you the information. And you've already got it. You do too. Okay, thank you. Yes. You're gonna get the information, so you can't get lost. We'll get you
You
there.
don't know Terry.
We have to bring a
You
hard
gotta tell them no shorts.
Yeah, that's in the list. He'll get that. Yeah, no shorts, no flip-flops.
Okay, I'm going to defer reports on the OID Advisory Committee and the Historic Preservation Commission reports until we meet more in a commonly accepted format, where we can spread out where we do have audience. So I'm going to hold off on those items. Are there any other issues from the commissioners that you would like to bring forth before we move for an adjournment? Hearing none, I would note that our next public meeting, hopefully will be, our next regular scheduled meeting, and hopefully it will be a public meeting, is Thursday, July 16th, 2020, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. With that, Commissioner Frank, anything that you would like to bring forward?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Frank. Second by Commissioner Pett. Please cast your vote and please record it as we're adjourned.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. I think I had my.
Know there's activity going on. Well, this works good.
It does. And they all can vote.
Make a public.
Maybe Craig can. Oh. The boss knows that we can do this.
I told the boss that, and I also told the mayor, because it does, it works.
I just wondered if it.
And the little thumbs up.
Well, thanks for putting
Well, I
it
don't
together.
know.
No, you helped get that whole thing off,
I'm off to go.
seriously off.
I'm watching.